While we wait for The Walking Dead Season 3, we've been gifted The Walking Dead and Michonne miniseries, which is an opportunity to see a more personal tale of the katana-wielding heroine. But sadly, due to Telltale Games' high standard in previous efforts, Episode 1 feels lackluster in comparison. Into Deep begins with Michonne being ambushed by a horde of walkers. The biggest contrast you will witness in this miniseries is how fragile Michonne is. Whether you've seen her decapitate zombies on the TV show or in the comics, you will be aware of her distressing past. Unlike the TV show, however, you've never seen how her demons still haunt her like you do here. During the opening sequence, what should be a routine slaughter is thrown into chaos when Michonne begins to hallucinate. During a beautifully choreographed scene where you transport between her two realities, slicing and dicing in a way only Michonne could, you conclude by being forced into a daunting decision. The start of the episode begins extremely well with immensely high stakes, but sadly, once the awesome opening credits finish, the story lacks the same thrill. The strangest aspect about Into Deep is that there is little to no context given as to Michonne's predicament. From doing my own research, I'm aware that the tale resides at a time where Michonne has left Rick's group, but oddly, this is never mentioned or elaborated upon in any way. After the first chapter, we catch up with Michonne on a boat with a band of survivors. An entirely new cast are introduced here, yet we never get to know anything about them. When a ship becomes unknowingly stranded, you leave the craft to salvage parts from a marooned vessel on the harbour, and you don't see these characters again. In fact, during the 1.5 hour episode, you are introduced to a handful of characters, but you barely get any insight into any of their pasts or personalities. The lack of character development leaves the usual impactful Telltale choices and consequences feeling irrelevant, as you are not invested in the outcome of the situations. The Walking Dead Into Deep falls victim to how ambitious Telltale Games have been in the past. Other than the spike in tension at the beginning and finale, the content here feels relatively tame. When you reach promising moments of excitement, Telltale Games have already covered similar circumstances and portrayed it better. During the episode, you are treated to some new scenarios, such as how walkers adapt to water and some truly awesome machete wielding sequences. Decimating a horde of zombies single-handedly feels empowering, and only playing as Michonne could you pull this off. In actual fact, Michonne is the reason to play this miniseries. Having a lead character that is so commanding as Michonne is an invigorating experience. Until this point within the Walking Dead games, we have always felt vulnerable and striving for survival was the ultimate goal. Michonne flips this entire dynamic upside down as she, in this episode at least, is in a dark place and death to her may not necessarily be such a bad thing. She is more than capable of dealing with a few walkers too, which allows the narrative to focus, just as it does in the comic and TV shows, on the real threat in the world: people. Having played as the newly devised Lee and Clementine in previous stories, I was able to form their personalities. Michonne already has a persona that I am more than familiar with, and this directed my choices. Be it a simple verbal response or an important choice, I would think, what would Michonne do? Her internal complexity adds more terror to this episode than any of the supporting cast. You feel as though her demons could appear at any time, which helps make a mundane situation still feel tense. The moment that frightened me the most was a hallucination, which speaks volumes for a world that is dominated by flesh-eating zombies and anarchy. Into Deep is the first in 3 episodes, and I hope the next entry in this saga surprises us more. It is a daunting task for Telltale Games to keep us charmed, as they have produced some of the most memorable gaming moments in recent years. I still have faith though, as Into Deep is not a bad game, but without the luxury of a typical 5-episode season, the pressure is on to deliver something exciting in a shorter space of time. Michonne is a fan favourite character for a reason though, and I am still looking forward to see where this story goes. I give The Walking Dead Into Deep 3 stars out of 5. Check out the full written review at thenerdstash.com.